Well done. Let's talk about something that you were able to successfully get up in the Senate, which was a appeal for states like your own in Queensland to drop as many restrictions as possible in the lead up to Christmas, but also the restrictions on faith. As we have talked about many times before, in Queensland you had 50,000 people who could go to a footy match, but a limit on the number of people at a funeral, the number of people in the pews, the number of people in the synagogue, the number of people on the prayer mats. Well done. You got this up. How'd it go?
Yeah, good, mate. Well, we had 26 senators sign it and sign up to it, and then the Labor and Greens sort of had a bit of weak opposition, but they let it go through. So it went through. It calls on the states to ease those restrictions to make them consistent, you know, with football games and cricket matches. It was nice to watch the cricket the other night, and good to see those Indian fans having fun, but there wasn't too much social distancing happening there. And I don't know how it works in all religions, Paul. I'm not evangelical, I'm a Catholic, so we're a bit boring, but I do a lot more yelling and shouting at the footy than I do at Mass. So if it's okay to go along with the cricket and the footy and have a good time, I think it's okay for people to go and worship the birth of Christ. I actually did this. This was only done in the last couple of days because my wife tried to book tickets to St Stephen's Cathedral in Brisbane for midnight Mass, already sold out. And I checked with the Archdiocese of Brisbane, and there are about 300 or 400 people down in capacity still under the restrictions. 300 or 400 people are going to miss out going because of these absurd restrictions. And what are we going to see? We're going to see scalping for tickets for midnight Mass? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Tickets.
Look, hopefully the states wake up for themselves and fix this up.
Yeah, who wants your communion? Or they just walk up to people as you're going through and they sort of just whisper.
I got two for the vigil, two for the vigil.
Want to sell me? Want to sell me? Want to sell me? Apparently that's how scalping works, or at least it used to.
But I wouldn't know, Paul. But...
Yeah, of course. Me neither. And now, but Campbell, perfect example, right? And we're talking about this as well, that say in Queensland, supposedly they have removed the restrictions on things like speech days, but individual schools are still able to make their individual decisions, and as we often know, the hardest person to get past is the security guard furthest from the event you're trying to go to, because they will exercise their power. And quite often, it is the furthest person from head office who is preventing parents from being able to go to things like speech days in Queensland. Almost so to the effect that last week we were fighting for a family to be able to go to a speech day to see their teenage son get an award in Year 9. Thankfully, he was able to get that done. But what does it say that even when the government removes the restriction, other bits of government keep them?
Paul, the problem is that, you know, as we've gone through this year, the restrictions have been, lifted or raised and then done away with, and they've been chopped and changed, and then you watch the TV news, but you're hearing about what's going on in a different state. People, frankly, are totally and utterly bamboozled. They really don't know what the rules are really anymore. And I think probably if we went and had a look at the rule book, we'd find we might be breaking some rules as well. So that's why what Senator Canavan has done with this in the Senate this evening is important, because the states and territories need to harmonise, and that's what that National Cabinet should have been doing. And frankly, the sooner that we get back to normal, now that we have essentially eliminated this virus in the country, because that's really what we've done, is we've got a lid on it, the better. The sooner we get away from these restrictions and we get back to normal, the sooner actually we get people back into employment, repair our economy, and actually deal with all the other problems we've created in this terrible year.
Craig, I've got a good one for you in a second, but Bronwyn, I could see you leaning forward, taking in breath.
Absolutely.
Give it to him.
Can I just say first, Matt, congratulations. That's the first piece of action we've seen, that more people will be able to worship at Christmas. It's amazing. A piece of action, well done. But the sooner we get rid of that National Cabinet, the better. It really has become the visual embodiment of what I keep talking about. It's all about, we're all equals together. No, we are not. The federal government is preeminent. The Prime Minister is preeminent above the premiers, and that's the way it's got to return. And the sooner we get there, the better.
Yeah, we're not separate countries with a shared bank account.
We are not.
Now, Craig, what about this? The Human Rights Council in Queensland have discovered that there's a downside to lockdowns. Now, of course, they had nothing to say when the lockdowns were being put in place in Queensland for about 2 weeks, but
Exactly.
still.
This is a scream, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, let's get right into this, Craig, and then Campbell off the back. The human rights people have discovered that vulnerable people and young people get pounded upon by the establishment in a time of lockdown. I mean, hallelujah, welcome to the party, and it's only 15 days before Christmas.
Yeah, Paul, absolutely. Just shows how appalling some of these people are. When they were needed, they were missing.
Yep.
When that young girl was trying to get to her dad's funeral, and she came from Canberra and she wanted to see her dying father and comfort her sister and a mother at a funeral, and she was blocked by Palaszczuk and that chief health medical officer. Where were these people? They were MIA, missing in action. And now, once all the lockdowns are over, they come out. These people have absolutely no credibility, Paul.
Whatever the opposite of profiling courage is, hey, Campbell?
Well, look, Mr McDougall in Queensland is seemingly coming out now. They're really talking about, he seems to be concerned about young people who are who've been incarcerated because they're being affected. I mean, like Craig's right. I mean, these people were missing in action, but now again, and this is the thing, people in these sort of positions are actually preaching from their political corner rather than looking after the interests of the entire community. Every decent man and woman, boy and girl in our community who needed protection